So here we are going to solve 50 questions of CUET. So this is a mock test. So let's start. Which stage of meiosis separate homologous chromosome? Option A metaphase 2, option B anaphase 1, option C anaphase 2 and option D telophase 2. So here the correct answer is anaphase 1. Anaphase 1 is a phase of meiosis that separates the homologous chromosome. Next question is the human vertebral column belongs to option A appendicular skeleton, option B axial skeleton, option C cartilaginous skeleton and option D is muscular system. So here the answer is axial skeleton. That is the option 2. Now moving on to the next question. Which enzyme synthesizes the RNA primer? RNA primer is synthesized by option A primase, option B ligase, option C polymerase 1 or option D helicase. So here the correct answer is primase. That is option 1 A. The primary source of energy for ecosystem is option A ATP, option B sunlight. So here the sunlight is the primary source of energy for ecosystem. Which event occurred during anaphase of mitosis? We have to tell. Option A synapses, option B crossing over, option C chromatid separation or option D nuclear membrane formation. So the correct answer is chromatid separation is the event that occurred during the anaphase of the mitosis. The term gene pool refers to what? All gene in one organism, all alleles in a population, or dominant gene only or recessive gene only. So here option B, that is all allele in a population, is termed as the gene pool. Which cell organelle modifies and packages the protein? Option A ER, option B ribosome, option C Golgi apparatus and option D lysosome. So here the correct answer is Golgi apparatus, that is a cell organelle that modified the packaging of the protein. The conversion of the fibrinogen into the fibrin, that requires what? Renin, option B thrombin, option C pepsin, option D trypsin. So it required the thrombin that convert the fibrinogen into the fibrin. Which pigment participate directly in photosynthesis? We have to tell. So that is chlorophyll A, that is a pigment that participate directly in photosynthesis. Which hormone increases water reabsorption in the kidney? That is ADH, not insulin, thyroxine or glucagon. The respiratory membrane in human, what does it include? The alveolar epithelium plus the capillary endothelium is the respiratory membrane that human include. During translation, the peptide bond formation occurs in the ribosomal peptidyl transferase center. That is during translation the peptide bond formation occurs. Tell me about an enzyme that is responsible for removing the RNA primer in prokaryotes. So that is option A DNA polymerase 1 or option B DNA polymerase 3 or ligase or helicase. The enzyme that is responsible for removing the RNA primer in the prokaryotic is the DNA polymerase 1. So here the option 1A is correct. Moving on to the next question. Which respiratory substrate has high calorific value? That is option A carbohydrate, option B protein, option C fat and option D organic acid. So the respiratory substrate that has highest calorific value is the fat, that is option C. Now moving on to the next question. In human bicarbonate ion, they are transported mainly through option A plasma, option B RBC membrane, option C hemoglobin, option D platelets. So here the answer is plasma, because in human the bicarbonate ion, they are transported mainly through the plasma. Which structure form the spindle apparatus in the animal cell? So option A is lysosome, option B is centrosome, option C is Golgi body and option D is vacuole. So here the centrosome is a structure. Option B is correct. Option B is the centrosome, that is a structure that forms the spindle apparatus in animal cells. The first stable product in C4 cycle, that is oxaloacetic acid. Here option B, we can see it is oxaloacetic acid, so directly we get the answer. Which process maintain genetic continuity? Option A, meiosis, option B, fertilization, option C, mitosis, and option D, mutation. So the mitosis is a process that maintains the genetic continuity. We have to tell the pH of stomach, and it is maintained mainly by option A, sulfuric acid, option B, acetic acid, option C, HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, and option D is nitric acid. So here the hydrochloric acid is the pH pH of the stomach is maintained by HCl. Which blood vessel carry the deoxygenated blood in adults? We have to tell. So option A is pulmonary artery. So directly we get the answer. Pulmonary artery, it carries deoxygenated blood in adults. In this question we have to tell, in the Meselson and Stanley's experiment, DNA replication was provided to be option A, conservation, option B, dispersive, option C, semi-conservative, and D is unidirectional. So here the answer is semi-conservative. In Meselson and Stahl experiment DNA replication, it was proven by a semi-conservative method. Now next question is the oxygen dissociation curve that shifts to the right due to option A, decrease in the CO2, option B, increase in the pH, option C, increase in the temperature, or option D, decrease in the temperature. So here the answer is increase in the temperature is the answer. Oxygen dissociation curve shift to right due to the increase in the temperature. Moving on to the next question. Which plant hormone is known as a stress hormone? So we have to tell the plant hormone like ABA. It is a plant hormone that is known as stress hormone. The enzyme that is responsible for transcription is RNA polymerase, and is an enzyme that is responsible for transcription. So here option A is DNA polymerase, option B is RNA polymerase. So we get the direct answer, RNA polymerase. Which of the following is not a part of the nucleotide? Option A, nitrogen base, option B, pentose sugar, option C, phosphate group, and option D, amino acid. So nucleotide have a nitrogen base, it have a pentose sugar, and it have a phosphate group, but it does not have an amino acid. So your D option is incorrect. That means your correct answer is D, because we have to tell not part of nucleotide. So D, that is amino acid, is not a part of the nucleotide. In Krebs cycle substrate level phosphorylate produces ATP and GTP, that is option B here. Then histamine is released by, we have to tell histamine is released by, histamine is released by the RBCs, option A, option B, mast cell, option C, plasma cell, option D, neutrophils. So histamine is released by the mast cells. Which enzyme converts fibrinogen into fibrin, that is thrombin? The apoplastic pathway of water movement occurs through the cell wall. In the cell wall, the apoplastic pathway of water occurs through the cell wall. Which structure prevent the backward flow of blood in the vein? The backward flow of in the walls, the structure, it prevent the backward flow of the blood. C4 acid formed during the Hack-Slack cycle. That is a malate that is formed during the Hack-Slack cycle in the C4 acid. Which stage of meiosis show terminalization? That is dikinesis, where it is stage of meiosis show terminalization. Operons, where are they found in prokaryotic fungi, plants, or virus? We have to tell. So here option B, that is prokaryotes, where the operons are found. Which immunity develop after infection? Is it passive or is it innate or naturally acquired active immunity? So the immunity that developed after an infection is naturally acquired active immunity. So here the question is the enzyme carbonic anhydrase. Carbonic anhydrase is abundant in option A, plasma membrane, option B, platelets, option C, RBC, and option D, lymphocytes. So here the correct option is RBC. where the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, it is abundant. Now next question is, which ion is essential for opening the stomata? So that is the potassium that is essential for opening of stomata. Option is calcium, option B is potassium, option C sodium, and option D is iron. So here the correct option is potassium. Moving on to the next question. The anticodon that is present on option A mRNA, option B rRNA, option C tRNA, and option D hnRNA. So here the tRNA, it have an anticodon present. Next question is, which scientist proposed induced fit model? That is Coastland that proposed the induced fit model. That is option B. Next question is, the site of photolysis of water is PS1, PS2, stroma, or cytoplasm. Here option A is PS1, option B is PS2. So the correct option is PS2, that is the site of photolysis of water. Which phase is absent in meiosis, we have to tell. So that is option A prophase, option B metaphase, option C interphase, and option D cytokinesis. So here the answer is interphase, that is a phase that is absent in the meiosis. The respiratory quotient of fat is 0.7 is the answer B. Which blood cell lacks nucleus in the mammal, that is RBC. The major site of gluconeogenesis is liver. Option A is heart, option B is kidney, option C is liver, and option D is brain. So here the liver is the answer. Which process directly produces NADPH in photosynthesis? So that is the non-cyclic phosphorylation. That is the process that directly produces NADPH in the photosynthesis. So here the answer is C option. The central dogma was proposed by option A Mendel, option B Crick. So here we know that the central dogma was proposed by the Crick. Option B is correct. Which organelle is rich in hydrolytic enzyme? That is a lysosome that is rich in hydrolytic enzyme. The NAK, that is sodium potassium pump, is an example of option A passive transport, option B facilitated diffusion, option C as active transport. So here we know that the sodium and potassium pump is an example of the active transport. In human, the cardiac pacemaker is the SA node. SA node is pacemaker, we know that. Which component stabilize plasma membrane in animal cell? That is the cholesterol that stabilize the plasma membrane in animal cell. Which process generates maximum ATP? So that is the electron transport chain, that is the process that generates the maximum ATP. So some of the important highlighted points which we must know, that is first is the primary CO2 acceptor in C4 plant, that is PEP. Enzyme joining Okazaki fragment is DNA ligase. The site of the Calvin cycle is stroma. Then organelle cause suicide bag is the lysosome. Crossing over occur in prophase 1. Then oxygen evolved in photosynthesis come from the water. The functional unit of kidney is nephron. The universal recipient of the blood is AB blood group. Hormone responsible for fruit ripening is a ghrelin. Cell organelle with its own DNA is mitochondria. The gas that is fixed during the photosynthesis is CO2. The chromosomal theory was proposed by Sitton and Bovgren. The study of fungus is mycology. Enzyme used in PCR is Stack polymerase. Vitamin causing anemia deficiencies, vitamin B12. The main photosynthetic pigment is chlorophyll A. Then fluid mosaic model, it was proposed by Singer and Nicholson. Vector commonly used in cloning is plasmid. RNA carrying amino acid is tRNA. Nitrogen fixing bacteria and legume is rhizobium. The phase where the DNA replication occurs is S phase, the site of protein synthesis. The site of protein synthesis is ribosome. Hormonal lowering the blood glucose is insulin. Largest artery in the blood is aorta. The plant tissue transporting food is phloem. Basic unit of heredity is gene. Scientists discovering the penicillin is Alexander Fleming. The blood clotting cell, that is platelets, universal donor of the blood group is O, and smallest living cell is mycoplasm. The first stable product of Calvin cycle is PGA. The hormone causing the uterine contraction is oxytocin. The site at the ATP synthesis is a mitochondria, that is cysteine. Then photosynthetic unit is Contasome is the photosynthetic unit. Then immunoglobulin crossing the placenta is IgG, and disease caused by HIV is AIDS. The process producing identical daughter is mitosis, and the hormone promoting milk secretion is prolactin. Living mechanical tissues in the plant is collenchyma, and the structural controlling the stomatal opening, that is the guard cell, and the enzyme that unwind the DNA helix is helicase. The site of fertilization in human is fallopian tube. The site of fertilization in human. Hormonal lowering blood calcium is calcitonin. Then cell mediated immunity, that is provided by the T lymphocyte, and photosynthesis light reaction occur in the thylakoid membrane, and barrier regulating the root water entry is Casparian strips. The scientist giving natural selection theory is Darwin, and the process of RNA synthesis from the DNA is transcription. Organism reproducing by budding is Hydra, and most abundant protein on the earth is Rubisco. So these are the next important 50 points which I told it. Thanks for watching. Do like, share and subscribe Biomindscape.